But if you're starting a statement with, "I'm not racist, but," you might be a little bit racist. Hey friends, welcome back to another coffee talk. Today I'm going to be discussing the recent casting of Halle Bailey as Ariel in the new Disney Little Mermaid live action remake. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I've already talked about this a couple of times, but I am still seeing more articles and tweets and posts coming out, and I am still, what's the right word? Incensed about this whole thing. So I wanted to bring this discussion to my YouTube channel and talk about it here because I think it's important. Just a little bit of warning, I may get worked up in this video, but this whole thing has me absolutely flabbergasted and really quite angry. So sorry in advance. Okay, so what is going on here? If you're completely out of the loop, I'm gonna give you a really quick rundown of what the situation is so that you understand what I'm talking about. The Little Mermaid is an animated Disney film that came out in 1989, which focuses on the story of Ariel, who is a teenage mermaid who has caught a glimpse of the human world and wants to join it. In this animated film, Ariel is depicted with very pale white skin, large bright blue eyes, and long fiery red wavy hair. Now, Disney did not originally come up with this idea. They adapted The Little Mermaid from a story of the same name written by Hans Christian Andersen in 1837. Andersen was a Danish author and poet, and this is how he described Ariel in his original story. Let me read it for you. Her skin was as clear and delicate as a rose leaf, and her eyes as blue as the deepest sea. So it looks like Disney got Ariel's looks right as far as her rosy skin and her ocean blue eyes. But from what I can tell, there is no mention whatsoever in the original story of the Little Mermaid's hair color. Her hair is described as being long, but the color is never specified. And in fact, Disney originally wanted to make Ariel's hair blonde and changed their mind over the course of producing the film. I've also heard that in the first draft, Andersen gave the Little Mermaid green skin, though I can't find a source for this. Regardless of how this character is described in the original source material and in the 1989 animated film, I think it's important to remember that this is an entirely fictional character who is not even human. She is a mythical creature, and what she looks like really doesn't matter. In case you didn't know, mermaids aren't real, so we don't have any idea what they would look like because they come out of our imaginations. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. Now, let's get into the controversy. As many of you, or most likely all of you know, Disney has been creating live action remakes of all of their animated films over the past 4 years or so. They started with Cinderella. They actually released Cinderella while I was working on a Disney cruise ship. So I was actually able to see the premiere of the film on the day it was released in the theater on a Disney cruise ship. So the energy was palpable. We were all super excited. And since then, Disney has been moving systematically through their animated films, creating live action remakes. So it was announced a while ago that they were going to be doing a Little Mermaid remake, and there were rumors going around about who should play Ariel. I remember hearing at one point suggestions of Ariana Grande. There were some rumors about Zendaya playing Ariel, but nobody had any inkling that Halle Bailey had been cast in the role. Now, some people are just generally mad that Disney is remaking their animated films instead of creating new original content, which I can understand to a certain extent, but also I understand why they're doing it, because they are cashing in big time on our nostalgia, and The Little Mermaid was such a big part of so many of our childhoods. It was released in 1989, I was born in 1992, and I watched The Little Mermaid approximately 1,000,007 times growing up. I am sure that it had no small part in the fact that I have since dyed my hair red and like to wear it in an Ariel sort of fashion. So regardless how we feel about the fact that Disney is making all these remakes, they're going to keep doing it because they're making money. So on July 4th, Disney announced the casting of Halle Bailey as Ariel. And if you aren't familiar with Halle, she is part of a singing duo with her sister Chloe, and they originally started on YouTube YouTube and got discovered by Beyonce and got a record deal, and they're also both actors on the show Grownish. So we get the announcement, Halle Bailey has been cast as the title role in The Little Mermaid. Cue pandemonium on the internet. Let me read you the original statement from the director of the live-action remake, Rob Marshall. After an extensive search, it was abundantly clear that Halle possesses the rare combination of spirit, heart, youth, innocence, and substance, plus a glorious singing voice, all intrinsic qualities necessary to play this iconic role. If you haven't heard Halle Bailey sing, I highly recommend you go listen to her voice. I'll link a couple videos down below so you can quickly check them out, because she literally has the voice of an angel. I am incredibly impressed by this young woman's vocal ability. And in case you didn't know, I actually have a degree in musical theater. That is what I went to college for. I have studied vocal technique for over 15 years and have focused in specifically on musical theater, vocal technique, and performance for most of that time. And also, I have worked for Disney on their cruise ships singing Disney classics. So I know a little bit about vocal technique and how you can apply it to classic Disney music. Halle has an incredibly beautiful voice. She has very strong technique, a wide range, and a beautiful tone. So if anyone is trying to argue against her casting as Ariel based on her vocal ability to sing the part, they are completely delusional, because her voice is perfect for this role. Now, maybe it's not her voice that people are mad at. Maybe they don't think that she can play Ariel's personality. Now, that's another place that I'll disagree. I'll link a couple interviews with her down below, or clips of her speaking. She completely embodies that youth and innocence and wide-eyed optimism about the world. She seems so bubbly and sweet, and honestly, again, seems completely perfect for Ariel. She has that same essence to her. Okay, so maybe it's not her acting or her singing that's the problem. Maybe it's her appearance. Well, let's look at what Halle Bailey looks like. She literally looks like a cartoon. Have you ever seen a woman who looked more like a live-action version of a Disney character? I think not. So her looks are also perfect to play the live-action version of an animated film of a teenage mermaid. Okay, wait, so sorry, it's not her like face shape and the shape of her features and everything that's the problem. It's the color of her features. Okay, her coloring, I see. So it's like her hair color, her eye color, and her skin color that's the problem. Okay, now I understand. So I'm just gonna circle back really quick to the whole thing that mermaids aren't real. So again, her coloring shouldn't be an issue here. It seems like people are mad because Disney cast a black woman to play a character that has previously been portrayed as white. Some tweets claim that the issue is that the origin of the story is Danish, and therefore the character of Ariel should look like a Dane, which I guess means she has to be white with blue eyes and red hair, because that's what all Danish people look like. Oh wait. Turns out you can be Danish and also black. Also turns out that less than 2% of the human population naturally has red hair. Who would have thunk it? It seems like Ariel's appearance was made to look great in animation, to have lots of contrast and bright colors that excite small children. So not based on the reality of what Danish people look like. Great, cool, good to know. And again, sorry to keep repeating this, but mermaids don't exist, so they don't have a standard appearance. Mermaids don't have a race. So this argument doesn't hold water. Pardon the pun. Yes, in the original story, she was described to have rosy skin and have blue eyes. That is true. So yes, in that sense, they would be changing the appearance of the character from the original version in the original fairy tale. But Disney has actually already changed the appearance of the character. As I mentioned, there was no reference to the Little Mermaid's hair color in the original source material. Disney decided to give her the fiery red hair. So they had already made a change. They had already made a decision about her appearance that wasn't stated in the original story. They also, by the way, changed a huge amount of the details and also larger plot points of the original story to fit their animated film, as one does when you adapt a story. So it would make sense that now that they're making a new film adaptation of their original film adaptation of the original story, that they'd probably change things up yet again. Like the fact that it's no longer animated, it's live action. And like the fact that they decided instead of drawing a white mermaid, they were going to cast a black woman to play a black mermaid. I've also seen reports of backlash from natural redheads who are upset about ginger representation. I have to say, I haven't really seen many redheads actually saying this. I've just seen people saying that redheads are saying this. So maybe this isn't even a real thing that redheads are saying. But as a redhead, even though I'm not a natural ginger, I am a pretend ginger, I still feel the need to speak up on this because if it's true that redheads are saying this, it is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. If you look at the number of red-headed actors in Hollywood, I bet you'll find that the percentage is much higher than 2%. Whether they're natural redheads or not, we have a lot of them. And we also have a lot of redheaded characters that are played by natural redheads or not natural redheads who wear wigs or dye their hair. So we have Jessica Chastain, Amy Adams, Nicole Kidman, Madeleine Petsch, Marcia Cross, Rupert Grint, Susan Sarandon, Isla Fisher, Bryce Dallas Howard, Julianne Moore, Karen Gillan, David Caruso, Judy Greer, Seth Green, Scott Grimes, Reba McEntire, Lindsay Lohan, Allison Hannigan, etc., etc., etc. My point is, there are a whole lot of redheaded actors in Hollywood, and I would have to say, in my unscientific opinion, the representation of redheads in Hollywood is much higher than the actual percentage of redheads that exist in the world. So do we need more redhead representation? No. And people who say,
oh, it's not fair, there's only one redheaded princess. If we don't have Ariel, then we don't get any redheaded princesses.
Did we all somehow collectively forget that Merida exists? Doesn't it make more sense to focus our redheaded representation on Merida instead of on a mythological creature who could have purple hair for all that it matters? And while we're talking about natural redheads, I will say, clearly Halle Bailey is not a natural redhead, and that's fine. The likelihood that they would have actually cast a natural redhead, even if they'd cast someone who was white, was very low. They probably would have cast someone with another hair color and asked them to dye their hair or given them a wig, which is probably what they'll do with Halle. But I would like to point out, because some people seem to be confused, Black people can have red hair naturally. They can also have blue eyes naturally. Just wanted to put that out there. They also wouldn't have necessarily found an actor with naturally blue eyes, but contacts are a thing, so no big deal. Also, no big deal because the most important thing about Ariel as a character is not her eye color or her hair color or her skin color. The most important thing about Ariel is her personality, her curiosity, her selflessness, her bubbliness and quirkiness, her young soul, her soaring, gorgeous singing voice. Those are the things that stand out about Ariel. Halle Bailey really seems to embody these traits so naturally that I have literally never been so excited for a live-action remake of a Disney film since they started doing remakes. She just exudes that Ariel, young, bubbly, sweet, kind, curious vibe. And again, she has the voice of a literal angel. Jodie Benson, who voiced Ariel in the 1989 film, has come out in support of this casting decision, speaking up about the fact that this casting shouldn't have to do with appearances, it should be about the spirit of the character and the storytelling. And the director and the rest of the team clearly feel that Halle Bailey is the best person to embody the spirit of Ariel in a live-action remake to serve the storytelling, even if she doesn't look exactly like the Ariel we've come to know. So many of these comments and posts that I've seen that are against this casting choice are saying at some point that it's not about race and that they aren't racist. But if you're starting a statement with, "I'm not racist, but," you might be a little bit racist. To be honest, the outrage over this casting is disgusting. I feel sick to my stomach, and I have since I heard about this controversy, since I started reading these posts and tweets. Every time I think about it, I get so upset and so angry. I hope more than anything that Halle is off of the internet and ignoring the backlash, because this is her biggest break. This is her chance to play an iconic character that she probably grew up with. And people are trying to take that away from her because she's Black. That is so messed up. If this casting decision upset you, I ask you to take a moment and reflect. Ask yourself why the casting of a beautiful and talented young Black woman as a fictional and mythological character has you so upset. Because Halle Bailey is the Little Mermaid. Halle Bailey is my Ariel. And Halle Bailey is all of our Ariels. And nothing you tweet is going to change that. Please share this video with any of your friends and family who are upset about this casting choice. I hope that this can serve to be informative for anyone who is confused. As a professional actor, as someone who has worked for Disney, people are cast in roles because they're the best fit for the part, not because they look exactly like a cartoon. I will also link a couple videos in the description box made by women of color on this topic, because at the end of the day, it is really their voices that should be amplified. Like this video if you also found this outrageous, and thank you for coming to this heated episode of Coffee Talk. I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye, friends. Thank you, as always, to my wonderful patrons. Your support means so much to me. An extra special thank you to our newest patrons, Mirabella, Haley, and Catherine. Welcome to the squad. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of